As the COVID-19 pandemic spreads across the globe, we are seeing an alarming pattern. The poorest and most vulnerable members of society are being hardest hit both by the pandemic and the response. I am especially concerned about the well-being of the world's children. Thankfully, children have so far been largely spared from the most severe symptoms of the disease, but their lives are being totally upended. I appeal to families everywhere and leaders at all levels: protect our children. Today, we are launching a report that highlights the risks they face. First, education. Almost all students are now out of school. Some schools are offering distance learning, but this is not available to all. Children in countries with slow and expensive internet services are severely disadvantaged. Second, food. A staggering 310 million school children, nearly half of the world's total, rely on school for a regular source of daily nutrition. Even before COVID-19, the world faced unacceptable rates of childhood malnutrition and stunting. Third, safety. With children out of school, their communities in lockdown, and the global recession biting deeper, family stress levels are rising. Children are both victims and witnesses of domestic violence and abuse. With schools closed, an important early warning mechanism is missing. There is also a danger that girls will drop out of school, leading to an increase in teenage pregnancies. And we must not ignore the growing risks children are facing as they spend more time online. This can leave children vulnerable to online sexual exploitation and grooming. A lack of face-to-face contact with friends and partners may lead to heightened risk-taking, such as sending sexualized images, and increased and unstructured time online may expose children to potentially harmful and violent content, as well as greater risk of cyberbullying. Governments and parents all have a role in keeping children safe. Social media companies have a special responsibility to protect the vulnerable. Fourth, health. Reduced household income will force poor families to cut back on essential health and food expenditures, particularly affecting children, pregnant women, and breastfeeding mothers. Polio vaccination campaigns have been suspended. Measles immunization campaigns have stopped in at least 23 countries. And as health services become overwhelmed, sick children are less able to access care. With the global recession gathering pace, there could be hundreds of thousands additional child deaths in 2020. These are just some of the findings of the report we are issuing today. And its conclusion is clear. We must act now on each of these threats to our children. Leaders must do everything in their power to cushion the impact of the pandemic. What started as a public health emergency has snowballed into a formidable test for the global promise to leave no one behind. The report urges government and donors to prioritize education for all children. It recommends they provide economic assistance, including cash transfers, to low-income families, and minimize disruptions to social and healthcare services for children. We must also prioritize the most vulnerable: children in conflict situations, child refugees and displaced persons, children living with disabilities. Finally, we must commit to building back better by using the recovery from COVID-19 to pursue a more sustainable and inclusive economy and society in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. With the pandemic placing so many of the world's children in jeopardy, I reiterate my urgent appeal. Let us protect our children and safeguard their well-being.
Indeed, the world over, countries have adopted the mantra: test, isolate, treat, trace. Kenya has adopted this mantra. With regard to testing, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board is now accelerating regulatory decisions regarding approval of COVID test kits. The board is implementing stringent, expedited accreditation mechanism, which has shrunk the process from 3 months to 48 hours. Using this approach, the board has authorized the employment of 4 test kits for detecting the virus, which are currently being used. And these include Copper SARS-CoV-2 test kit by Lodge Diagnostics, Expert Express SARS-CoV-2 by Cepheid, BioFire COVID-19 test by BioFire Defense LLC, Abbott by Abbott Molecular Inc. With this approach, our capacity for testing will be expanded from our current 10 to cover at least 1 laboratory in each county. This is expected to take place in the next 2 weeks. We request that incoming applications are uploaded along with the requisite documents to the PPB portal. As shared in the past briefings, the current phase involves deployment of targeted testing with a focus on frontline healthcare workers, identified hotspots and clusters in Nairobi, Mombasa, enhancing community-based surveillance and screening frank transit drivers. With regard to isolation and quarantine, we have 33 quarantine centers that are currently active. We have closed down a good number of sites. At the moment, we have 483 individuals in the various centers across the country. We have also quarantined 455 other persons for defying national curfew regulations. And I think this is important to note, because once you are out during curfew hours, it is assumed that you have now been exposed, and therefore, if you are taken, you will be taken to a quarantine site for 14 days at your own cost. We are today launching a special designated isolation and treatment facility for our healthcare workers. This facility will be able to offer both critical care, basic care services for our healthcare workers. All costs incurred during treatment shall be met by the government. With regards to tracing, 11 more persons have tested positive for the disease today, bringing the total to 281 in the country. Of these confirmed cases, 7 are Kenyans from Mombasa. And in that Mombasa area, we have got quite a few, I think 3 are from Bondeni in the old town in Mombasa. We have a few also from other areas, Miritini. I think we have a case from Miritini, and a couple of other areas within Mombasa town itself. The other 4 are from Nairobi, and those ones are from Ruaka. The Ruaka area is where we got those 4. And none of those have a recent travel history as such. And 5 are female, while 6 are male. 7 of those are from our quarantine centers, the ones in Mombasa in our quarantine centers, and 4 were picked by a surveillance team from various parts of the country. They are aged between 11 and 80 years old. And I can confirm that the herbalist who died in Mombasa, Old Town, the 3 in that area, in the Old Town, are actually contacts of the herbalist who died in the same area. And there goes the whole idea, and why we are always talking about keeping distance. That's why we are always talking about people going around and not taking care and not wearing masks. These are some of the results that we are getting as a result of these shortfalls. We are also happy that 2 patients
Good morning, Africa, wherever you are. This is Daytime Break in Africa, wherever you are in Kenya. Thank you very much. Daytime Express brings you the current situation in Kenya, in Africa, and in the world. We talk about what will happen the whole day, what we intended to do. This is Dr. David Mataka, all the way from the Political Command Center. And let me have the link as it is right now. Send it right to the people and let people have that link. Viewers, wherever you are, thank you very much. And all the time, let's keep it that way. Let's keep it fighting. Let's keep it the Mutahi Kagwe way. Let's get Mutahi Kagwe. Let's give him kudos. Don't allow the situation to go beyond that, because the government will slam us with very harsh conditions that at times we might not be able to move from our own estates. We are creating trouble. We are bringing trouble. We are bringing trouble to ourselves. Viewers in Kenya, please get me very right that I'm only speaking, and my role is to spread the gospel of the government, of the Ministry of Health. I don't add there any word when it comes to COVID-19. Mutahi Kagwe is saying you are pushing them to a limit. Don't do dubious things. People are still walking through the drenchant of police roadblocks, and they are walking through to their counties, spreading and reproducing this disease in the community. Kenyans, please listen to me. Let's agree that anything else can separate us, but this disease should unite us. The disease should unite us to fight it. Let's leave political showdowns, ego, myopism. What words can I use? Stupidity of the highest nature, that we start talking about things that might not be there. Human beings might not be there. Wherever you are in the world and in Africa, in South Africa, especially East and Central Africa, we are the figures in Tanzania worry us. The figures in Tanzania have risen to 254. We have to do something. We have to get people to. We have to separate people. We have to make it very real. Viewers, the production team, the link. We need it on our phones. People want to listen. They're asking for the link. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you very much. In the studio in Nairobi is none other than Miriam Ogutu. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in Australia is evening. Good night in America, Russia, China, New Zealand. So here we are. We are here at home to give our input as far as our situation is concerned. Thank you very much, Miriam Ogutu, right from the general headquarters of Punchline Africa Television, all the way from there. Take it away from me.
All right, a very good morning to you, our viewers, and thank you so much wherever you're watching us from. And as Doctor has already greeted you there, others it's evening, others it's afternoon, depending on where you are tuned in across the globe. Of course, we have so much we have for you right now on Daytime Express. And I think what we usually do here, Doctor, we go through the newspapers.
Yes.
Do we look at the headlines? We start.
And before we go to the newspapers,
yes,
we must alert the Kenyans. The message of the Honorable Minister of Health and his team. Kenya stands at 281 dead, 4 recovered 69. Look now for East African states. If we have time, we shall now pick the rest of the other states and those high, because we don't have much time, Miriam. I think it's better we pick the East African state so that we tell the people we don't have much time. South Sudan, 4 cases, no death, no recovery. Uganda, 56 cases, 38 cases recovered. Tanzania, 254 dead people in Tanzania, 10. Recovered people in Tanzania are 11. South Africa, 3,300 infected cases. 58 are dead. Recovered cases in South Africa, 1,055. Morocco, 3,046. 143 people are dead. Recovered are 350. Algeria has the highest number of dead people on the continent as a result of COVID-19. And this is very, very serious. 2,718 infected cases, 384 dead, 1,099 have healed. Burundi, another East African state, has only 5 and 1 is dead, no recovery. Somalia, another case in the Horn of Africa. IGAD, 164, dead 7, recovered 3. Sudan, another IGAD state. Because now everybody is going regional. And we are IGAD member state, 107, 12 people dead, 8 recovered. Confirmed cases in Cameroon, 1,163, 42 people dead, 305 are recovered. Ghana, the Pearl of Africa, or where Pan-Africanism started with the Koroma. 1,042 people confirmed, infected, 9 dead, 99 recovered. The bigger country with bigger population, Nigeria, 627 dead, infected, 21 dead, recovered 170. Democratic Republic of Congo, another member of our region, 350, 25 dead, recovered 35. Rwanda, Kigali, Kagame, Paul, the great guy of the Great Lakes region, Paul Kagame. The country has 147. So far, 80 have recovered. So far, no death has occurred. Strict regulations of washing your hands, no dropping litter, no social distancing. Democracy tampered with. Very good types of tactics of discipline. Don't call them militarism. Discipline. What work on discipline? We are not disciplined in Kenya. We violate the curfew. We walk through the drenchings of police to be picked by another matatu on the other side. Believe me or not, hallelujah, believe me or not, you are reproducing this disease. You don't know your status. So don't pass the police roadblock. Use M-Pesa to deliver that message. I think so far, Zambia, 65 cases, 3 dead, 35. Another country, Ethiopia, IGAD, 111. Jesus Christ, 3 dead, 16 recovered. Djibouti, another IGAD state, 846 people confirmed as infected. 38 have died, recovered 148. And I remember the graph of Djibouti, Miriam, when we started, Djibouti graph was very low, was flat. When Kenya declared got its first cases, Djibouti flood remains not zero. It started rising. It bypassed Kenya because it is a calling point for ships before they sail out to the Gulf of Persian Gulf and the Far East. So you notice that some of them must have passed through Italy. For this whole 1 month, they docked at Djibouti. In Kenya also, while the number is high in Nairobi, it comes with the hub of East and Central Africa in terms of businesses, tourism, hotel industry, banking. We have so many people here. We have UN here. We have so many officials. So these are some of the factors that we must consider, Miriam. And that is the total number. You can read it for Africa. And then we move Eritrea, which is not a member of IGAD. Now it has been readmitted in IGAD, 39, and recovered 3. Now, the rest, Miriam can confirm to us the total number of people that have been affected in Africa, total number of dead people, recoveries, and those countries that are free. Somebody this morning, Miriam, was asking me to fly to Comoros.
Through what? Using what? I think
one very serious hater. So I said, yeah. You know, I'm speaking in parables. You know what I mean.
We seem to have lost you there. I think we had a problem with your signal.
Okay, your signal, not mine. I said, Joshua was asking me why I had, he's asking me, I said I want to fly to Comoros. All the thought to see what the sort of people are doing so that I can come back and impact new information to the people. Then I said I want to rent one Airbus helicopter. So they are juggling on Facebook now, insulting me that we know what you want, we know what we mean. We have to keep on reminding. There is someone, Miriam, before you read this first before we go to the subject. Yes, Africa.
All right, so Africa cases as were confirmed about an hour ago, or less than an hour ago. Confirmed cases in this continent right now stands at 23,499, and the death toll in Africa is 1,161. Recoveries that have been made is 6,110. Infected countries still remain at 52, and only 2 countries in the continent are virus-free, and that is Lesotho and Comoros. And perhaps the global statistics, the total confirmed cases till now stands at 2,482,158. Confirmed cases today only is at 1,655. The death toll now stands at 170,470, representing about 6.87% of the total of confirmed cases globally. And also the deaths that have been recorded today, only the new deaths is 73, and the critical cases are at 55,355, representing 3% of the total, confirmed cases worldwide. And also recoveries now is at 652,170, and the countries that have been affected so far in the globe is at 212.
Thank you very much, Miriam. If you have anything to tell us from the country and you want to ask about your country, call us on +254 795 638 145. The lines are open now. You want to ask, what about my country? I think we are going to do that so that people can call in. What about my country? Call in. What about my country? What are you doing in your country? What can you tell us about your country? What is the Minister of Health in your country saying? Is he telling the Africans the true story, or we are becoming the real Africans as we are? We go backwards, we retreat, then hop step, then jump, then retreat. We don't go all the way. We have never been like a Chinese jump and a jump and a jump and a jump. So even before COVID is over, they are all over Europe. They are buying the businesses that are winding up. Woo-hoo! Can you see that? Woo-hoo! What? Woo-hoo! Is that? I am, yes, what? Woo-hoo! They are buying businesses in Europe. Miriam, we are supposed to entertain people at this wrong hour of COVID-19. That's why I've become a very good African intellectual comedian. I can fit for it. Don't you see I'm wearing a sweater like a Bill Gates? He's always in the cold weather. He's always looking for money. They are already there. They are already in Europe, in Italy, buying the businesses that are going down. There you are. One man. Have you finished, Miriam? We are coming to the newspapers, where you will read us in the 3 dailies.
Yes.
But there is one man who has impressed me. This man is called Mwalimu Dida. Did you see what Dida wrote?
I saw that tweet. Yes, I did.
Oh, it is hitting the headlines. Like him hate him, Dida made it. And that is Abu Duba Dida, the teacher, the presidential candidate 2017. The Mwalimu says, experts designed the dams and the government allocated the funds. Some few politicians stole all the money. Now landslides and floods are killing Kenyans. These same people are flying helicopters bought with the stolen money to those affected areas. And the affected people praise them. Hallelujah. Hey, Hosanna. Oh, welcome, Baba. Oh, my mtoto yangu. Our child, our person, our baby, our son. Oh. That is the quote of the day. Mwalimu asante sana. But another quote, which you must follow and use. if you want to learn more. Those who want to learn can listen. The legacy trend I have is well written, well researched this morning. Well researched this morning. Some listener from the African Union, Miriam, it says the countries are 55, not 54. He has just sent me a message, I think you had. He's here, a keen listener of AU.
Yes, it's 55, together with...
55.
Together
Number
with
two in the AU.
Yes.
You know who? From Ghana. He said the countries are 55, David.
We correct that.
Thank you.
Yes.
In Addis Ababa.
South Sudan is 55, yes.
Watch the program. Sahawari, the Arab Republic of Sahawari.
That will make it 56. But after Sudan became a country, it became 54. 55. We used to be 54.
Yeah, but now 55 is Sahawari. This is the first chairman of AU himself. Saying Sahawari is the 55th country. Then he says so that we should not read 54. He's warning us here. He's warning us, Miriam. Another thing this morning is the truth. This is the truth. You will never reach your destination. This is the quote from Sir Winston Churchill, the hero of the Second World War, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, which helped to win the Second World War. Miriam, it goes like this. You will never reach the destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. That is, take it seriously. Students at home who are listening to our discussion this morning, this is Daytime Express from Punchline Africa Television. And the chairperson of AU has continued to say, hello, you Punchline is sending the messages on this other phone. And the medium, it says, hello, the country, that next time let me read this, that if we read a mistake about Africa, he will close us up. Hey, what? I thought the dictatorship had gone away, but it has come here. Seriously. The next topic that you shouldn't miss reading today is the page before, because we don't have much time, the page, the legacy trend, which is very clear. Avoid the toxic people. Just be patriotic and disciplined, the Kenyan. Avoid the toxic people. Just that's it. That's it. Do what the government is telling you to do. COVID-19 does not need AK-47. Does not need a gun to fight. It needs discipline, self-hygiene, self-distancing, social distancing. Stay at home. Avoid quarrels. Avoid toxic people. Avoid politics. That's it. Avoid it. And I bet you will go home and sleep comfortably. Avoid crossing the police drain. That's the role of the legacy trend this morning. That's it. We have hammered it home that we don't need to reproduce the disease. We must stop it by not violating the government guidelines. It is not the government that is going to die. It is us going to die. Jermaine. So stop it. Avoid toxic politicians and the cartels. Don't listen to them. Don't. Discipline, and that's it. And the police says don't stop the car 10 miles or a mile away from the roadblock. Then tell passengers to walk. You who is telling them to get out of their car, you are the one who is worse than the murderer itself, which is COVID-19. That's why countries like Zimbabwe, you know the jail term in Zimbabwe, Miriam? 20 years. 20. Right now, 20 good years. And there you know they don't joke. If you have been in Chikurubi prison, you wouldn't like to mess at all in Zimbabwe. Chikurubi prison is one of the most toughest prisons on this continent. You don't need to be there. So read the legacy trend. It is on www.thelegacytrend.com. Read it. Read it. Get some ideas. Over to you, Miriam.
Yes, and I'm seeing one of our viewers here, Steve Odiko, here bringing us an issue here. Let me just read it out, and perhaps I'll add something to that, and Dr. Maha, perhaps you'll tell us what you make of this. He's saying, Dr. Matanga, I have forwarded a video on your page concerning a certain individual in Homa Bay who was put under forced quarantine, that he's positive on coronavirus issue, but he's saying he's not. Can you talk on this issue, Doctor? So if he was put under forced quarantine, was he found to be walking past the curfew hours? Because the Ministry of Health has come out and said, if you'll be caught outside past 7 p.m., they will assume that you have come into contact with a person who has tested positive for COVID-19, so they will take you by force to forced quarantine. So did he violate the curfew hours, or in what circumstances was this person taken to forced quarantine? Please expound that to us. But if he violated the curfew times, then yes, that is what the government said will be done. Whether you've tested or not, they'll put you there for 14 days, carry out test, and then after 14 days they carry more tests. If you don't have it, then you will be let go. So that is part of the punishment if you're caught out past the curfew hours. So was he caught out past the curfew hours?
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Odiko from Homa Bay, wherever you are. I want to answer you, add on what Miriam has said. The minister was very categorical yesterday. And the minister said, if you want to avoid going to quarantine, don't break the curfew. Don't be caught crossing over, going to Muranga, to Kajiado, to Naivasha, Nakuru County. Please, that's it. If you are caught there, whether you are not positive now, another 28 good days, you will not see your wife and your children. You will miss them. So the basic thing to do, Miriam, is to avoid.
Yes.
Because how will the government know where you have been at night? You might have been mixing with people drinking. So, Mr. Stephen Odiko,
perhaps you can elaborate, yes.
I've elaborated. And I thank you very much. Even if he mourns up to Angel Gabriel, he will have to be there another 28 good days. And there is no magistrate who can be foolish today to release him. Because the corona could be even coming for the magistrate. Have you seen where we are now? The corona is coming to the magistrate. How will the magistrate, Maraga, Chief Justice Maraga, cannot entertain anything to do with the Ministry of Health Act? Because corona could sweep him also. We don't know. So the essence of it, Miriam, don't try. Hello? Don't try. Don't try to break the curfew. Sit with your wife, with your children. When they go to sleep, you can even have your drink. A drink. Your wife can be drink, which Miriam drinks.
Huh?
I don't know whether you, right, Ben, what is it called?
No, I don't drink those things. I just take tea and water.
Tea and the water and the hot water. Miriam takes tea and the hot water.
That's
Some
all.
people drink Ribena.
Ribena juice. I don't sodas. I don't take that stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So sit down with Madam or with Mrs. and the Madam and the husband. Discuss. Tell stories of the past. This is a very good time for bonding. I am being honest. I've turned into a marriage counselor. Good time for bonding for the family. I don't know when Miriam will bring this topic. We do it. Not honestly about the bonding, because the other time we did violence.
Yes.
We want to teach people to do bonding. This is the time to bond. Too many offenses.
I'm sure people are.
Where has our marriage?
Yes.
Where has our marriage gone wrong?
Yes.
Yaribikia wapi? Where has it gone wrong? As we think, as we abide,
Maybe
the government.
maybe our viewers' marriages are not wrong. Maybe they're just fine. So we cannot assume all of it is bad. But yeah, it's as you said there, Doctor, you're right. It is time for bonding, and family time has really been proved after this COVID-19 happened in the world. I think that is one of the positive things that might have come, the upside of COVID-19. So yeah, it's a good thing, a great time for children to have enough time with their parents. So yes, that's very good. But also, Doctor, it's not only men who actually are violating these rules. We saw a number of women, I think 16 of them, were caught in Umoja attending an evening wedding. I think they were Muslims. The majority of them were from Isli, and Isli, we know right now, has a case. So they went all the way to attend an evening wedding at a house. Yes,
You know that it's closed.
Yes,
It's closed.
yes. It's been shut
This
down.
is no business. It's shut down.
So these women came from Isli. They went to Umoja and other parts of Islands also to attend an evening wedding. They're Muslims, so sometimes, I don't know, the weddings happen at night, but they did it at night, and there were a huge crowd. They were not even protected. They were not supposed to be there. Why are people not listening to what the government is saying?
Because we have bad habits. We have bad habits. We need Museveni time. Are people in Kampala driving a car there? The whole country is Zoom. Zoom. Miriam, ask anybody coming from Kampala. Ask anybody coming from Kampala. Will tell you how peaceful the roads are. Have you ever heard of an accident of late? No. There's no accident now, unless the lorry which collapses itself knocks another lorry. The only thing which is there now are trucks. Now, I have thanked Kenya, and I guess what Kenya has done. If you are coming, you know, at times some of us have gone. God, thank you very much for guiding me in decision making. I want to tell you something. God told me.
You're thanking who? The Kenyans for the decision making. Or you're thanking who?
I am thanking the Kenya government for decision making.
Yes.
Of saying any truck driver coming from there 14 days in quarantine. So it means your truck is 0. If it has goods, I'm sorry. So, have you heard that? I heard it this morning. Any entry from Tanzania, from there. So, why I'm trying to thank God, Katonda wange webale nnyo okunsonyiwa asante sana Mungu ulinipa vision. You know what I did with my trucks? I told the drivers, park them where they are, leave safety, get the goods and give them to Bayusuf, who can run them to Mombasa. They will get that payment, leave the trucks where they are, and go home. I'm supporting them. They are not Ugandans, by the way. They are Kenyans. A wise decision made. Because if your truck is
we seem to be having a signal problem there from Dr. Matsanga, just explaining some of the measures that the government of Kenya has put in place that perhaps now will save some lives, because we've seen some truck drivers coming from, there's another one that apparently came from Uganda and was driving all the way to Mombasa, and in between he developed this coronavirus, symptoms, and he had to be taken into the hospital for quarantine and for checkup. So it's very important, and perhaps even inter-country trades, I think right now perhaps should be discouraged unless it's really, really necessary until we get hold of this corona thing. So thank you so much there. We've lost a doctor, but I think they're working to bring him back on. Our time is almost up, but I would just like us to go through the news-making headlines in the Kenyan newspaper. Why Kenya may escape COVID-19 disaster studies. That is the headline on the Star newspaper this morning. And Kagwe says 455 people are quarantined for breaking curfew. I'll have to read this, page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. People just don't listen. Personally, I get very frustrated with Kenyans. When you see somebody entering a public service vehicle without a mask, when you see people getting into the supermarkets, I think some of these public establishments now should take the matter into their own hands and say, if you don't have a mask, please don't enter here. And yesterday, I saw a news item on one of our local television stations, and they were featuring one local supermarket that is just all over the country, and the measures it has gone in stride in ensuring that the customers are safe. They sanitize the baskets, they sanitize the trolleys. You have to wash your hands when you get into the supermarket, because they're saying now there's also another risk. When you go, you touch an item and then you realize, no, perhaps I don't need it, let me put it back. Or perhaps you're checking you're reading something, you put it back. So by picking and putting it back, if your hands are not very clean, then there are chances are, as much as you sanitize and you do all that stuff and you get some products, you buy some things, you go back home, you still stand a chance of getting this COVID-19. So they were just showing how much this store has gone out of its way to ensure that their customers are protected, the people who work there are protected, and they've put in measures. So I was just hoping that the rest of the stores were watching the supermarkets and perhaps will follow the footsteps and go an extra mile to ensure that this thing is not spread through the supermarkets. As we see, they even observe social distancing, and we've seen a lot of the supermarkets here try to do that, but that one went above and beyond. So can we copy the rest of other supermarkets? Can you copy that? And it might just come with a little bit of a cost on your side, but it's for the better good, and that will be your little contribution to Kenya. We even ask the government and all of us try to fight the spread of the COVID-19. So on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper, 455 arrested, quarantined for defying curfew rules. So a total of 455 individuals have been put in mandatory 14-day quarantine for failing to adhere to curfew regulations. Another 483 are also being held in 33 quarantine centers across the country, Health CS Mutahi Kagwe said yesterday. A total of 455 individuals. Can you imagine? These are the people who have been fined walking past curfew hours. They've been fined in drinking dens. They've been fined all over the place, breaking, not keeping up these measures that the government has put in place. And, Last week, the government closed some quarantine centers after those who were being held in the facilities were cleared to continue with self-quarantine at home. I'm sure they were tested and they were found to be okay, but just for safety precautions. And then you see some Kenyans still have a nerve to go lock themselves in a drinking spree somewhere, or a human being, a grown full with full faculties, a parent sending an ambulance to pick the children, one of the kids and their friends who were drunk to I don't know where, to bring them home, while these ambulances could be used in other things that are very vital. That story really upset me as a Kenyan, because that is not good, and that person should be taken to court for abuse of power. And I don't know if they're still in office right now, because they don't deserve to be in that office. And those children, they should not even be in their houses. Those children should be put under forced quarantine. I hope the government will take on that matter. So, of course, on Sunday, Health Chief Administrative Secretary Mercy Mongangi said those found breaching curfew rules will be rounded up and put in mandatory quarantine at their own cost. So if you are caught out there past 7 p.m., if you are caught out there breaking any of these measures, if you are caught out there, let me tell you, the government will come in herd and you'll be put under self-quarantine, not self-quarantine, forced mandatory quarantine. And you, my friend, will have to foot your bill. So there you go. So you've seen there 455 people are quarantined for breaking the curfew. Why are you breaking the curfew? Do you have to be outside by 7? I mean, you have from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's enough time for anybody to do whatever they need to do for the day and be home on time. It's just for a while. I know it's very inconveniencing, but this is just something that will last for the next couple of weeks. We're hoping it will not go further than, the next couple of days. And then it's just a bit of inconvenience, but it is for your own good. So why don't you take it like that? The government is not benefiting from this in the case. If anything, the government has lost so much in terms of taxes and all that. So can we just try and do the right thing? Can we just try and cooperate and just take our part and play our part in helping curb the spread and the increase of the numbers? So on the front pages also of this Star newspaper, I see there are coronavirus zones. So the red zone, that is the high risk. They say open air markets. These are very high risk areas. The open air markets, bars and restaurants, which right now should be closed, because that was the first thing the government did, closing down restaurants and bars and gyms and salons and massage parlors. Oh, I'm not even going to the salon anytime soon. And lifts, bus parks. Thank God I'm not going anywhere with the lift right now. And the religious places, they've been closed down since a couple of weeks ago. Sports activities, I don't know who is going to a sporting activity right now, and also public gatherings, social functions and house parties like that one. The wedding that was happening in Umoja, those women should be kept there for at least 28 days, if you ask me. And then after that, taken to court. They have to answer for those charges. And also the yellow zone, now the medium risk zone. These are interview panels, which I don't think even TV stations are bringing any interview, in their studios anymore. I think I've seen a lot of interviews, even on international television stations, happening from through Skype and Zoom and other technological advances, but not really on a one-on-one. That has been reduced. And also motorbikes. Yes, that I agree. That is, they're saying here it's medium risk. Still, some people are not adhering to some of these rules. Board meetings. I don't know who is having a board meeting right now. And if so, are they wearing a mask? Are they protected? Cash payments. Yes, that I agree. And public transport, very well. Prisons, residential areas with communal areas, banking halls, malls, and supermarkets. And then the green zone, that is the low risk area that you're likely to get the coronavirus, is gardening and indoor home activities, staying at home, private cars, online interactions. So basically, to have a low risk, just stay at home. If you don't have to be outside, then don't be outside. And if you must go outside, perhaps to work or the market or whatever, just make sure you wear your mask and not put it under your chin or on top of your head or under your nose. Just wear it covering from the bridge of your nose to down on your chin. That is how you'll ensure that you're safe. And that way we can help in lowering the rate of infection in this country, in Africa, and indeed across the world. So thank you so much, Doctor. I see that you're back.
Technically knocked me out, all of you from the studio.
No, we had a signal hit. Yes, yes.
I'm back. Thank you for keeping the fort. The newspapers, we were on it. Let's do it. We have only 6 minutes, which makes it a quarter past. We leave.
Yes. So
We don't want to talk much. 6 minutes. Have you looked at the papers?
I've looked at the Star.
Oh, you started with the Star.
Yes.
Okay, let me come to the hostile takeover. We are going to discuss this at length at 11 o'clock. So viewers, wherever you are, don't worry. The hostile takeover of Jubilee, is it a state of despondence? Are we creating a state of despondence? Slow down the fight against COVID-19. That's all. This is stupidity of the highest nature. If this headline is correct, then we have a problem, Houston. We have a problem. Remember, I was telling people, and Miriam, I was saying, this COVID-19 could be a disguise of those who have been wanting to regime change others. And again, prophetically, in a prophetic manner, I am not a prophet of doom. You can see it here now. Should we be having this headline here? Surely, Miriam? Is this headline worth it?
I think this is not the time for such headlines. I think that's why I started with the Star, because nowadays you've seen they've really put their effort. They're very deliberate in ensuring that the COVID-19 and the safety measures are the ones on the front pages there every day. So, yeah, right now this is not the kind of headline we need to be seeing on our papers.
I leave it to you, Kenyans. Ruto allies ask Uhuru to call National Executive Council meeting and gag Raphael Tuju. Why Raphael Tuju? Why target Raphael Tuju? Why? State of despondence. We leave it. You are going to enjoy that 11 o'clock with Miriam. Hard facts, state of despondence. Who is causing a state of despondence? A state of despondence. I want you to go to your dictionary. All of you, students of political science at home, discover what a state of despondence is. It's a state where you make people very anxious, very rebellious, very obedient, make the government policies ovyo. Munaambia watu hii hakuna maana, huyu president hakuna maana, huyu minister is doing nothing. That state of despondence, I don't know whether Miriam has Googled it already. And if you have found it, Madam, you can read for us what the state of despondence as we close, because we have it, despondence, a political state of despondence. What does it mean? Low spirits of hope, of all courage, dejection, despondence. There you are. You wanted the people of Kenya to look as if the government has rejected them. As if Uhuru Kenyatta has rejected them. I am the only martyrdom. Politics of martyrdom. Okwefiriza nofa. Oyagala kufira abantu. Kufa juu ya watu. I'm talking to Ugandans here, they are also watching. I'm sorry to turn to my language, because this is the way for us in Africa, how we do our politics. You know, for us, we don't know. We are not going to make people bring here the dead bodies. Have you heard what the President Museveni has said? The dead bodies where they have died from, leave them there. Do you agree with that, Miriam? I think it is becoming. You know, I will tell you something off the television, and you would actually know that David is a force-here. Not in a bad force-here, a very good force-here. The Kikuyus would call me Mugo, Wakithiro, Mugo Wakithiro. Wakithiro. You know, I don't want to tell you this here, but I'm so that I worry my children. But I am going to tell you offline and keep that secret forever. Yeah. President Museveni has said, if your body is in London, bury it there, because it's going to bring a problem, which, you know, scientifically, he has a point there. But ritually and customary, there is a problem. These bodies it will cost a lot of money for the family to exhume these bodies in the future, which might not be there. But he has a point there. And then yesterday, His Excellency President Museveni said, God has a lot of work to help other people in the world. He's not going to help idiots who break the curfew. Hakuna haki ya Mungu in Uganda. LC1 can arrest you, frog-march you to the quarantine. What Uganda did is to go back to first March. Anybody who entered on first March in the manifest, if you are in Uganda, the best is to drop in the ocean and disappear. But they will get you. The Bazungu who have flown back, fine. But any Ugandan who is in Uganda, who traveled between first March and the time this thing broke out, there is no escape. He has rounded all of them. I'm speaking the truth here because I have reports from my village. Remember, my mother is LOC, is a member of the LOC1 at 89. Mama, long live. She's the LOC chair, making decisions. She has a defense committee. Make a decision, you are a wizard in the clan, stop it. Kaka kaka, they write. If you do it again, night runners, they recorded them. That's how life is. Don't ask me whether it is good life or bad life, because even in Britain, right now, you cannot go and bury your relative. That's why you see my heart here as I am speaking to you on this, and as we stop this and go for another show, to prepare for another show, Miriam, the entire family of this David is there. Just pray for me that nothing happens wrong. I was worried of that